Hi everyone. Today, I've picked out some great stories for you. And so, let's begin. Boss didn't want to approve a short leave. So instead I availed a long one. I'm sorry this became too long. I work with a large organization having multiple branches in every state across the country. I am the head of one such branch. My boss, the regional manager, controls around 15 such branches in a region cluster. And I'm putting out a collection of cool stories every day, no leaving you. And the best reward for me is your subscription, dude. During August this year, I had asked my boss for a 5-day leave for September, which he had promptly granted. I then informed HR about it, suggesting him to temporarily arrange for somebody to run my branch for the week. This was required because 1. Due to some corporate directives, some of the branches including mine could not run without a branch head being physically present in the office. 2. Enabling someone from inside the branch to substitute for me wasn't possible due to technicalities. HR assured me there was plenty of time to arrange for my temporary substitute. So I didn't think much about it, since anyway it was his job to take care of in cases of leaves. My dumbass didn't imagine it would be crucial to get the leave approved formally in writing, because before this nobody had ever faced something like what I was about to experience. Come the last working day before I go on my leave, I asked our HR about who would take care of my branch in my absence. He flatly stated that there was no one available in the region cluster who he could depute to my branch in my stead, as many employees in our region are on leave because of festivities this week. Me. You are telling me this now. Anyway, I fail to understand how that is my problem, given that my leave was already granted a month ago. HR. Have a discussion with the RM, my boss. I called him up. Apparently the HR had already had a talk with him regarding this matter before I even called him. RM. How could you intend to go on a leave during this time when we are already under so much pressure due to this sudden staff shortage? On top of that our company's audit is due next month. Me. But you had already approved my leave 1 month ago. RM. No, I'm sure I must have said that I would think about it. Me. Absolutely not. I wouldn't have booked my tickets and planned my travel to my hometown to see my parents if you hadn't confirmed the leave. This went to and fro for a while and I was exasperated from this argument. By the end, I felt really humiliated that I had to almost beg for a leave. Me. Fine, I won't go. At that point I arguably felt my dignity was more important than a few days off work. RM. Huh. Okay. He was at a loss of words at my sudden giving up. So, my leave stood cancelled. My tickets had to be cancelled. Money wasted. And I was left utterly exhausted of this bullshit. A few days later, we got a notification for the yearly interstate staff soccer tournament being arranged by corporate. If selected, I'd be playing for my state. And the tournament from selections till the final would go on for a month. Soccer happens to be one of my favorite sports. So guess who just applied and got selected in the state team? Now, here's the funny thing about sports and activities that are arranged by our company's corporate center, the top management takes these seasonal events very seriously. If you are a participating employee, nothing or nobody on this planet could make you rather go back to sit on your chair and mind your job instead of participating. So as it appeared, although not on a leave per se, but I was all set to go on a month-long tour across the country, playing soccer, without having to worry about managing a branch and getting paid in the process. Even irrespective of my leave fiasco, this was a damn good thing to get involved in. As some of you have expressed a curiosity, yes, extravagant events like these are not unheard of in big Fortune 500 companies. My organization is a large conglomerate and the third largest employer in our country. Still it always beats my logic that they can spare some 150-200 employees for a month for fun, yet there are some regions that are plagued with staff scarcity. My boss's office was eventually informed about my participation in the event and was advised to excuse the participant from his duties till the tournament was over. The day before leaving, I drove down to the RM's office to formally inform him, from my end, about me competing in the event and my ensuing month-long absence that is to be expected. He looked expressionless and just feebly asked me, "Why did you really participate?" Me. Well you see, had I happened to be at my hometown on a short leave this week, I wouldn't have been able to participate in the tournament at all, or even try for the selections. Sad, I couldn't go on that leave. The defeated look on his face was priceless. Edit. Fixed a spelling. Added some clarifications. Sweet bonus I forgot to add. One of the matches were hosted at my hometown. I had trouble getting leave one time. I requested it in May for November. Sometime around October the director had to approve all of our vacation requests, but wasn't actually denying or approving. I said I'm going on vacation. I'll be back in 2 weeks. I hope I have a job to come back to. I worked there for another year until I found a better job. I once worked at Dunkin' as a driver, one store baked all the donuts for surrounding stores. I was getting married and told my boss I wanted 2 weeks for my honeymoon. He says he can't accommodate that. I told him you better start looking for a new driver. Got my 2 weeks. This is not the way. Having a central bakery that then sends out donuts that are now several hours old to sell to customers. Nothing beats a still warm donut. This is the way. To handle an asshole manager. Tim Hortons has entered the chat. They have one factory that makes all the donuts and ships them all over North America. I interviewed FKR a job and let them know that in 2 months I had a surgery scheduled and they said that's fine and it won't be an issue. The week before surgery they let 2 people take the week off and scheduled me to work. I just told them I've had this appointment for 6 months and am not going to miss it. They tried to get me to sign a bunch of paperwork but I just ignored it and went to get surgery. Came back and the boss had to get off their ass and cover. I went home for 3 weeks over Christmas to a different country and had to beg for the time off. A few months before I'd applied for the role of supervisor and didn't get it, much to the surprise of my colleagues. My department manager hired a very odd girl instead. Anyway, off I go, planning on getting a new job when I got back. When I got back, the DM took me into her office and explained that I was now the supervisor because the one she had hired had been fired for gross negligence. And was now on trial. For murder. Of her own baby son. That no one knew she had, not even her mother. Well, that took an unexpected turn, yikes. Okay, we're going to need an outcome for this, you can't just leave it there. Yes, your boss was a massive bellend, but what happened at the trial? Please tell me he got the book thrown at him, this is fucking horrifying. Yes, very. During the investigation by law enforcement, including state police and FBI, there was so much she didn't know about him. He was not from around here, but another state. Told her he came here for a job. After she got home and all the law enforcement came to question her, she found out exactly what a monster he was. He was a suspect in the murder of an ex-GF whose body was found dumped in a river. A suspect in the disappearance and suspected murder of another ex-GF. He is the head of a white supremacist gang. They told her all the threats he made against her and her kids were not empty threats. If he is found not guilty she will have to move away, cut all ties, change her and her kids' names, because he will be hunting for you. Then they told her she will get calls and threats to drop the charges. They told her she was a perfect witness. No criminal background, college education, professional career. They told her if you get scared call us, but don't drop the charges. This guy needs locked up and the keys thrown away. They told her he has done this multiple times and threatened and scared the others into dropping charges. She told them she is seeing this through to the end. She wants him in prison. Our courthouse is old and the courtroom is small. When the DA first showed her around where everything was she panicked. The table where he would be sitting was very close to the witness stand. She told him, he will kill me, if he can get a pen or pencil he will kill me. She asked if he would be cuffed and shackled. He said no, that makes him look guilty to the jurors. She kept saying I'm dead, he will kill me. It won't matter how many people are here. The DA assured her they had it covered. Under his shirt he would be wearing a shock vest and an officer will be standing in the back with the control button. One wrong move and he gets zapped. During the guilt and innocence part of the trial his past and history could not be brought up. When it was time for the jurors to come back with their verdict, law enforcement came in and lined up against all the walls of the courtroom. Then they sat completely surrounded my friend where she was sitting. They found him guilty on 2 of the 3 charges. They found him not guilty in kidnapping because they were living together. Now it was time for the penalty phase. Now all his past history could come in. An FBI agent took the stand and went over everything. The one dead GF, the missing GF presumed dead, every little thing he had ever done, time he had spent in prison, the works. The looks on the jurors' faces said it all. OSH, we screwed up. Had he been found guilty of all 3, it would have been mandatory life without parole. When the jury came back they gave him the maximum sentence they could, 40 years. Because of his racist gang affiliation he is in solitary confinement 24 hours a day. I always hoped one of the other prisoners would get to him. Expert level pettiness achieved. I bow to the master. I informed my former company in January that I'd be taking a weekend off in April. 4 months notice. Come the week of they are late getting me my paycheck, yet others got theirs on time. I'm supposed to leave at 7 p.m. and usually the checks are on site at 4 p.m. So finally at 6 p.m. I get my check and head home and leave. I got a call at midnight on Sunday asking why I wasn't back yet. I was supposed to be at work at 6 a.m. on Monday. I arrived back home at 2 a.m. to 4 messages demanding that I be at work at 6 a.m. I called them at 2 a.m. and told them I just got home and was going to bed. I'd be at work later. They told me to come in and discuss it. I knew what that meant. So later that day I walk in and they fired me for missing work. Saying I abandoned my job after giving them 4 months notice in writing. This is overwhelmingly fucked up. With that attitude, I wouldn't have been surprised if you said they had your final payment on hold for a long time. Sorry, you had to go through that experience. Didn't you keep a received copy of your leave application notice with you? Great revenge, but you really should have just stuck to your guns and taken the leave, then immediately started looking for another job in case he tried to fire you when you came back. You bought plane tickets and made plans, no job is worth canceling all that. Like you said, it's not your fault they tried to be scummy, and if they are as understaffed as they say, they can't afford to fire you so easily. Yeah, now when I think about it, I guess I should have anyway taken the leave. I prioritized my responsibilities and the possible puddle that would have been created at my branch in my absence without a substitute. Shouldn't have done that. Anyway, thanks for the insight. Would be a lesson for the future. Nah, it's nothing to feel bad about, just means you're a good person that doesn't want to put undue stress on others. Just because I don't care about coworkers or businesses in that way doesn't mean I get to ride in on my high horse and judge you. Hope things have gotten better for you at the job and that you got to play hella soccer. Good people are the ones large corporations abuse the fuck out of. Be a good person but a selfish employee. Love it. Boss couldn't handle 5 days without you and now has to cope with a month without you, plus has to be a team player about it. Which also just goes to show you that the company could have handled the original situation fine, but they chose not to. Oh, this video has come to an end. If you want more such cool stories, then go to one of the many following videos.